Hey everyone, it's James at geometriccharts.com, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, June 18th. We got the daily chart of Bitcoin on the Bitfinex exchange, BTC USD. So first of all, the video is not investment advice. Second of all, it looks like Bitcoin may be running into that toppy zone. So it's made a crazy move. I don't think you need me to tell you that. We obviously went from the threes into the nine territory. Bitcoin is literally done from top to bottom. I mean, over 250% move. So we are up very big in this move, and price keeps trying to stretch and stretch and stretch. And what's happening is essentially the foundation around Bitcoin, like the altcoins, are starting to really kind of slow down. Like its brothers and sisters are starting to slow down. Everyone's exhausted. Everything just did a marathon. It's trying to do another marathon. And this is what happens like during these little tiny pullbacks, and then price tries to take off again. Less and less people are showing up to buy at this level, which is just normal. So just some simple, basic economics, supply and demand. If the demand's not there, obviously it's going to have to come down to meet the demand and where it's at. So the first place would be somewhere back in this area as a nice little level of support, which is in the low eights, possibly the like 7.5 area, like 7.75 area, is where I'd expect kind of a pullback to start. And then I do think, from my prior videos, anyone that's been watching, I think we're going to see Bitcoin at least touch down to this range. This is the support range. If Bitcoin can find some really strong support there, the buyers start coming back in the market, this could be a nice area for Bitcoin to have just a normal, healthy corrective move. And then from there, another run up and potentially start establishing that uptrend, right? We have Facebook bringing out its new coin as well. See how that all goes out. It's a little odd that they would talk about it literally at what I would call the top of the market for the short term. Not like this is the top of Bitcoin, it's going to zero and that's it, the end of it. But just kind of like this is a very explosive move. So naturally that corrective move is going to happen, especially for bigger players that have been here for a while in their positions that are now up significantly. So anyways, I don't think when I talk about the market being like longer term bearish, it's just from the perspective of what has happened in other bubbles and what has happened in history, right? And history does repeat itself. And yes, this time could be different, but I swear every time I hear that, it's like the nail in the coffin for anything. And more than likely, there will be a pattern to it. And I think there's still a very tough road ahead for Bitcoin. Not that I don't believe in cryptocurrency. I really believe it is the future. It's just now trying to figure out how or what coins are going to be most suitable for the future and eventually replacing fiat. So again, and I think Facebook, I think their coin is a perfect opportunity for a social media organization that literally knows everything. Anyone that's done Facebook marketing, you know how detailed that information truly is on every single individual. So I see the benefit of cryptocurrency as in the benefit of understanding exactly who your citizens are. And now that can get into like an Orwellian nightmare and etc. But the point is that you have Facebook taking a stab at this. So we got a very large, one of the largest companies on the globe saying that, hey, we're going to have a coin. And the whole reason why I believe that cryptocurrency will be the future is because of that ability to see into it. And what better platform than Facebook to launch a coin to where not only do they understand how you think, how your friends think, how you shop, what you've done like school-wise, work-wise, etc. Like they know every single detail about you because it's given out there, right? So this becomes the ideal scenario, just kind of going off on a tangent here just for a bit, for governments to understand exactly who their citizens are. whether it's for a, evil act or whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. But I see the point in cryptocurrency, and I've talked about this on my earlier videos, as in being the ideal currency to not only know what maybe a local group of individuals are doing, but now this stretches globe. This stretches across all borders. This gives everyone access, whether it's going to be used at larger summits, like where countries get together, like the G20, etc., like that, whether that information is talked about on what is happening globally or not. It does allow access into knowing exactly what your citizens are doing. So the anonymous factor of these coins has pretty much been samurai'd through like a hot knife through butter, and it won't last. It won't last. It's going to all be exposed, all open. They'll know exactly what is going on at all times. So that's kind of my reasoning on why I believe cryptocurrency will be the future. Whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's the Libra that Facebook's introducing here, or Litecoin, Ethereum, I don't know. I don't think really anyone knows unless you're in the know or you got a crystal ball. But I definitely see the benefits of it from that perspective. So maybe not the benefit for the citizen themselves, but I do see the benefit from that aspect, and just understanding what Facebook has access to from being a marketer. It's definitely, I feel like, the ideal platform to launch it through, and maybe even something like Google, coming thereafter with their own coin. But anyways, the point is that when we look at bubbles and you look at the recovery, it takes a long time for markets to recover. You typically do not see, like when you go to the .com bubble in the NASDAQ, you typically do not see this style of recovery, right? It takes years. I mean, it took the NASDAQ 15 years to finally recover that area and continue higher. Not saying that it's going to take Bitcoin 15 years or anything like that, but I'm very surprised at the magnitude of this move, given on how how fast it's happened after a bubble phase. And the only consistency to this market is this longer term negative line set in momentum. So, and that has plagued Bitcoin this entire time, and it plagued it during this massive run, and now things are really starting to get a little more aggressive. So in the longer term, I still remain, not only because of that, but just because of the habitual patterns and everything I've seen in the past as well, like I talked about in my prior videos, is that during these pumps you see a lot of commonalities, and those commonalities are volume dropping, right? So we're like, I'll talk about this, is we're 5 billion up, okay, on average for 24-hour volume. It got a little above 5 billion. I think it was like 5.5, maybe closer to 6. I don't remember exactly, but anyways, the point is we were in that zone, okay, and then from there we started slowly dropping, and then it started rapidly dropping, not necessarily during this decline, but just in this area. And now Bitcoin on average for 24-hour volume is still around like 2.5 billion. It kind of oscillates. It peaked up to 2.8. But the point is that less and less people are showing up, right? This is something that's very common back in these tops for anyone that's been watching these YouTube videos, anyone that's a subscriber of mine. Everyone knows, if you've been involved in the market, that's a common one, right? I'm talking about the wave washing in and out. On top of that, you have the alts slowing down, right? They start to lead pace, they start to take off, they're starting to run the marathon, and then Bitcoin starts kind of following thereafter, right? Everyone's like, oh, why you trade Bitcoin? Why you trade Litecoin or trade EOS or trade blah blah blah? It's doing so much better. But then what happens is towards the tail end of those moves, like while Bitcoin is launching like a rocket and still going off, those alts are really starting to decline. And as of now, that's pretty much what I see here. So I do believe we're very close to that short-term top, and that this market is going to get ready for just a natural corrective move. Now, if Bitcoin starts crashing through like 6.4, 6.1 on Bitfinex, like I would say give it between like 6,000 to about 6,500 Bitfinex. If it's crashing through that area, then that's it. Get ready for a retracement in a very similar fashion to what we've seen back here. Not that it's the end of the market, but the whips, the pumps and dumps are still there. That's what that would signify. If Bitcoin holds up in the 6,000s and continues upward and onward, then I think here we are building that case to kind of rebuild this market, rebuild that structure, rebuild the confidence in the investors, and then that essentially paints the way, the golden brick road, all the way back to 20,000 and way beyond. So hopefully that kind of like clarifies everything and what's, I believe, like for the future, or kind of why I still remain, even though we've made a massive move. I mean, we've made an insane move, but still we're in a market that's notorious for producing these very, very convincing moves. But the one commonality or multiple commonalities of these tops is now starting to rear its ugly head here. So anyways, that's pretty much it. I think short term, over the next few weeks, we're going to start to see that decline. Bitcoin may have a little more of a violent chop to it a bit. I know Litecoin's trying to hold up here very strong. Litecoin made the path for everything to follow. And Litecoin is doing everything it possibly can to hold up here. But I do believe that over the course of this next week, 2 weeks, we're going to start to see this decline in Bitcoin. And it's going to start to migrate its way back down. And the sentiment that went from bullish is going to start to turn very bearish. And that's exactly what needs to happen in these markets. The markets just get refreshed. It happens with all markets. You have the ebb and flow of sentiment, investor psychology. And that's essentially it, from bullish to bearish, from bearish to bullish, and back and forth. So anyways, that's it for now. I will produce another video on Thursday. I do believe, unless there's some crazy reversal going into tonight where Bitcoin is somehow skyrocketing over like 9,400 Bitfinex, then we are forming that top, and this is a bearish candle. And that would equate to the beginning of this corrective move down toward what I believe would at least be the low to mid sixes. Then from there, depending on how price reacts to this zone, I think will determine a lot for Bitcoin going forward. So anyways, I thank everybody for their time. Sorry for going off on a little tangent. Hopefully that kind of like just explains my whole position and thought process. It's not that I think it's all going to zero, to hell in a handbasket, like many people want to believe, but I do think there's a purpose. I just think that this is a little premature for a market that definitely went through a bubble, and a bubble is not defined by price action. It's defined by what happens to the investors during that process. It's more of a psychological bubble than anything. So anyways, I do thank you for your time. Hope everybody has a great day, great night, depending on where you are in the world. If you do like the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow, and I will talk to everybody on Thursday.